Hi Jen, I won't tell anyone if you're not here. Has anybody else's screen froze, or is it just mine? Right, just let me see if it'll refresh. Right, it appears to be working for now. Let's have a quick... Yeah, it appears to be working now, so we'll just carry on before it all completely crashes. As technology is so wonderful. Why is it not? There we go. Evening Jen, evening Nicole, evening Kate. Hi Alison, hi Carol. Right, yeah. Had a little technical hitch before in that everything fell off. One thing fell over at one side of my desk and knocked something else, that knocked something else, that knocked something else, that's put everything out of the way. So that was interesting at 7:20 this afternoon. So, right, let's have a look. Okay, so gonna finish this book off tonight. Oops, watch me knock everything over again. What I'm going to concentrate on is making the photo mats for the pockets, and using the additional bits that came with the kit. Now I know if you're being really good, especially with Minte, on the back of the front page of the paper pack there are lots of fussy cutting pictures that you can cut out. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm not doing any fussy cutting tonight. Slight age related. It's yeah, osteoarthritis and rheumatoid is affecting both joints and bones today. So what I'm going to use is, with the Mintay, they do a beautiful pack of paper die cuts, which you can use as well as the ones you have to fussy cut, or you can just go with these. Now let me just sort. I tend to try to sort these out, not completely, but just to put like things with like, so all the jars will go together and things like that, and all the florally, flowery, fruity bits, shall I say, will go together. It helps to do this, then you know what you've got to play with, because a number of times I've done books like this and I thought, oh yeah, that's great, I'm going to use that, and then get further on in the book and realise actually that would have gone better somewhere else, and if it's not stuck down, I've moved it round. If it is, there's not an awful lot you can do about it. Now you will see that with some of these you do get the same picture in different sizes, and with these I think they're olive trees, but I'm not a botanist, so I haven't got a clue. One bends to the left and one bends to the right. Apparently that's something to do with which side of the island they grow on and which way the winds blow, but yeah, I just know it tastes good on my food. You'll see for some reason there's only one glass in here, so oh no, there's another one, so it might have been that I drunk that glass, but no, not yet. Again, a large and a small boat, and they face in different directions, so if you'll know yourself when you're going through, oh, I want a flower, or I want a banner, so just, you don't have to spread them all out because you probably won't have enough room on your desk. Not if you're a proper crafter, you'll have no room left on your desk. So what I'm going to do, get my A4 cardstock, so first of all I'm going to do the photo mats to go in here, so I'm going to cut them. Oops. I'm going to do 6 inches by 3.5, so 3. So cut 2 of these. Now they will just sit in the pocket there, which are quite nice. Now with a lot of the Mintay papers, you also get a sheet of cut aparts. So this one has 12 individual little rectangles with individual pictures on. So if you cut those up, So now it depends on your own preferences or how many photos you've got. So you've got that there. You could put a 3x4 photograph on, and then at the bottom, or you could put the photograph at the bottom, and then you could put one of your small banner displays at the top, or you could put some of your flowers at the top. Now when I'm doing this, I tend to use, it's a repositionable tape, because I can put it down, but if when I print some photos off I don't like where it is, or I want to put it in the opposite corner, you can just lift it off and pop it on the other side. So it just gives you that little bit of flexibility. Now again, with these, you could, they are quite plain on the back, so you could either write where you'd been, what day it was, who you were with, or you could put another photograph on the back. Or sometimes what I've done, because these cards are exactly 3x4, is back them onto a white bit of card that's been left over, and then just put a photograph on the back. For now, I'm just going to pop them in there. So then on here, you need a 7x7 photo mat for the large pocket. So if I pop this in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 inches. So I use my big trimmer. And then the next one I'm going to do at 7x5, and then one at 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. So your 7x5 that I forgot to chop that bit off. Because this one is 7.5 by 7.5, that gives you the ability to put a 7x5 photograph on, either portrait or landscape. So with this one, I'm going to assume that I'm going to put a landscape photograph on that is 7x5. So I'm going to trim this down to just under 7.5. And this just under the 2.5. So all your little bits of papers that you've got, you can actually use to trim up your photo mats. So if I pop that on there and make sure it's straight. So that now will fit a 7x5 card, a 7x5 photo. So what you can do is get your stamp and your ink pad. And just pop your stamp on there, and then just pop that down. Place your photo here. Now, for those of you that didn't get chance while Cal was still here, I do have only a few of the amazing stamp sets that Cal had developed. So there are a few of those left. I've just used that one. As you can tell, mine are a bit dirty because I've had them a while, but they will be in the shop. But unfortunately, once they've gone, they have gone. Won't be able to get any more of those, unfortunately. So that, just pop that inside your pocket, put it in straight, and then the next one down we did was 7x5. So again, I will just, now with that 7x5, what you could do, you could even put a 6x4 on and just put a small piece of the papers around the edges, dependent on obviously what size photos you've taken. Now with the smaller one, that's 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, you'll find that the small paper pad, if you take any of those pictures, they will fit just nicely on there. So you've got a decorative element on one side, just quickly and cut the edges so they all match. That on there. Now you've got that on one side. On the other side, you've got the option to put, again, to put a 6x4 photo there, or now you've got that on one side. On the other side, you've got the why has it done that? So you've got the options to put your 6x4 photograph, either landscape or portrait. Or if you wanted, you can just write up where you've been on there. So that's that one. Now, as well as that, what I like to do, so on this one here, it's quite a busy background. But if you put the flowers on, it would stand out. I would tend to just ink the edges just to give it a bit of a key. Just be really careful when you've got the fiddly bits that you don't go in too hard and just rip them off, which has happened, but you can always stick the flowers back on once you've set it down. So I'm going to put that one on there for now. And then again, on this page, you've got your photo mats to go in here. Again, you've got a 7.5 by 7.5. You've then got a 7 by 5 and 2 to go here at 6.25 by 4.25. So these, got a piece left over, that's 4.25 in width. So if you spin it round, and you've got 6.25, that will just fit a 6 by 4 photograph on there with a small reveal, so you don't have to keep fussy cutting. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that one in there. Okay, now with this piece, when I was matting and layering, this piece of paper here was about 1.5 centimetres too short. So what I did, I used, and we've all got lots of border punches, and border punched the edge of the paper, trimmed it down and just put it, just to give a bit of a different edge to it. So you don't have to make sure that everything is exactly the right size. Now on this pocket, let's move things out. I'm going to end up with ink up my arm if I don't move these ink pads. Okay, so that one goes in there. Now on this one, you've got one that goes in the back there, which is 7 by 7. One that goes in the front there, which is 7 by 5. And then a smaller 6.25 by 4.25. So that you can put your normal photographs in there. And for some reason my phone's sliding down. But again, because you're going to have your photo pockets in there, what I'm going to do is use one of the tall vases and just ink the edges up. Just going to have a quick read while I ink the edge, because I can't talk and read at the same time. Oops, that was a bit of a wonky vase. So, hi Linda, hi Bernadette. Work's getting in the way for a lot of people at the minute, and I think these bosses need to be told. Nicole, the sun affects plants and trees. This is very true. You've missed, no, I've not done the exciting news yet, Lorraine. It was having issues at the start, kicking people out, including me, so I'll do it in a bit. Oh, yeah, you've been kicked out. So that's that. Now on this one, I could just stick a photograph on there. I could stick a piece of card and put the place photo here stamp on. Or what I could do, one of these little cutter parts that Minte do, is attach it at the bottom corner. I'll link the edges so it shows up. Oops. When you're taking your lid off on your glue, only take the top bit off, not all of it. So if I'm going to use this, I don't know what's going on with things tonight. The camera's, there we go. If I'm going to use this here for a pocket, I just need to put glue along these two sides. If I put my hand there, I know not to glue where my hand is. So just pop your glue along there. And then just hold that in place. So if you get then another photo to go on there, you can just slip that in there so it doesn't slide out of the way. Choice of size of photograph in there, basically anything that will fit in that on that page. Then on here, to echo the banners, I don't know if you can see them there, on this piece here, we've got some tiny banners. I'm going to use one of the cut apart banners. I'm just going to dot a bit of blue on each one and put them on that side so it just ties the two in together. Okay, we've got photo mats to go in there. Now this one is the belly band. So here we've got two of the stacked pockets. So for these two, I'm going to cut, just remind myself of the sizes. So I'm going to cut them at 3 inches because that will fit inside the pockets. Now, certainly if you're in the UK, an A4 sheet of card is 8 1/4 inches wide. So half of that is 4 1/8. So they will then just tuck in there. And if you trim them down a little bit, you'll get your 3x4 photos on there. So your larger photo mat or photo booklet, what I would do is once you've got your, photographs to put in here, be they 6x4 photographs or 7x5s, whatever, I would put your photographs on and then look at how much space. So if you had a 7x5 photograph, you could put that on there and that would just fill the page up. I don't know what size photos I'm going to put on there yet, so I'm just going to leave that for now. But again, as long as you keep all your offcuts of papers, you can do that as and when. Again, you've got your 2 pockets there and your stacked pocket there. So you've got your large 7.5 by 7.5, your smaller 7x5, and your 6.25 by 6.25. So you can put those in and do that. Again, on this pocket, I'm sure you all know how to make your photo mats. And pop that on there. But again, on this one, to give it a little bit of dimension, we've got here one of the rope, I don't know, circles of ropes. So what I'm going to do, that just fits over the top. So I'm just going to get a small piece of grey board. Oh, this should be fun. Not sure if this will work with this hand, but we'll give it a go. And just cut some small pieces of grey board that we can use to lift that up. Now before I stick it down, I'm going to ink the edges and then just trim these down again. And pop some glue on. Hi Wendy, yeah, Facebook's being a pain tonight. I'm not sure what's going on. It definitely doesn't like anybody tonight. Lorraine, are you still here or is it thrown you out again? Oh, you might have thrown her out again. So just pop your glue on there. You never know these days, Lorraine, with Facebook. So we'll just pop that up there. So that just gives a little bit of added dimension. I did wonder about hanging that from the bottom of it, but I'm not actually sure what that is. Does anybody, I'm not a sailor. I know that's a rope circle, but I don't know, that to me just looks like someone's got the rope in a big knot. But if anybody knows, please let me know. Because so again on here you've got your patterned paper. Now this piece, I paper pieced it with the back of one of the others on there, just because I wanted to break it up, and that's part of one of these 6x6 papers. And this section is the back, the other piece of, wrong way round, it's the other piece of the back of the cut aparts. Now because there you've got two quite plain sections, I'm going to use one of the boats, because if you've got water you need to have a boat on it, or a boat needs water really. So I'm going to have that one on there. Now for these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the big, a tall thin jar and a small fat jar. I don't know if we're allowed to say that anymore. So just ink the edges of your jars. And pop your glue on. So I'm going to put that one on that corner, and just because there's a nice line across it, I've set it on that line basically so I know it's straight. And then I'm just going to very slightly overlap them so that one's in front of the other. Now there you could put another you could put another 3x4 photograph. It's entirely up to you. What's that? Which jar are you relating to, Jen? The tall skinny one. So on here again, this has been paper pieced. That's just the top. So what I might do on this one is get one of the larger flower embellishments. Are they the same size? No, I'm going to use that one. And pop that in that top corner. Just ink the edges. I would probably, if my arm wasn't playing up, would maybe have trimmed a little bit more off those edges. So what I'm going to do is use my repositionable tape, pop that on there, and then when I have full function in my thumb, I'll probably go round and just trim these the excess white bits off. And on that one, I don't know if it actually needs anything. I could put a photograph on there. Not sure at the moment. Again, on this bottom one, I think I'm going to use the olive oil bottle. You didn't know you were going to get a vertically challenged bar. So to go with the bottle of olive oil, I think I'm going to stick some olives with it, just because I can, and I think they match. So even if you have a piece of card that you think, oh, that's a bit boring or not very pleasing to the eye, you can always use these die cuts to go on there. Try not to be too precise with these, because speaking from experience, the olives do fall off. And just little blobs of glue even, and we'll just pop the olives over there. And again, you've got your photo mat to go in there. Again, you have a photo mat to go in there. Now for this one, I can't remember what picture I've got on the front. I was debating whether to put this over and 3D it up, but because we've got a photo mat going in here, it may catch it and pull it off. So I changed my mind, because it's our projects and we're allowed to. Again, you've got your photo mat to go in there and one to go in there. You know how to cut your photo mats. I don't really think I need to show you how to do that. So for the middle of your pages, so in the middle of every page, you've got a pocket like this. Is that going to show up? Probably not. Now, each of these pages are 8 by 8, or they should be. Let's put it that way. So, I'm going to cut 4 pieces of card, because we've got 4 pages, down to 7.5 by 7.5. So the observant ones will just have noticed or heard that something's fell over. So two of these I've just cut at 7.5 by 7.5, and these will just slide into there like that. Okay, really straightforward. But what you can also do, if you have a We Are Makers envelope punch board, I'm going to turn that way, then you can see. So this piece of card is 7.5 inches that way, but it's 8.25 inches that way. Now if you put this in your punch board up right in the centre there, so this is to take out your little notches when you're making envelopes, but if you pop that in there and punch it, then move it along 2 inches so your paper, edge of your paper lines up at the 2-inch mark, and punch that again. I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. Move it along and then move your board out of the way. Get rid of all your little faffy bits. I don't know if that's the right term. Then what I do is line it up so the very bottom of the dip is just in line with the cutting line. Keep that in place and then just bring it down just to your hair, and that falls off. If you haven't got a guillotine, and you've got a V blade trimmer, again, pop it so that the smallest part of your dip is in the middle. Make sure it's straight at the top. Pull it down till you get there and remove that. Okay. So that then gives you 2 photo mats with tabs on. Now, as you can see, you have one at the top and one at the bottom. What I would then do, because it's only a 4-page book, I would then mark out the middle of the next 2 and do 2 more there. Okay, so let's get these into the book. So I'm going to put this top one in the first page and just... Now, I'd left that oversized. So I know I need to trim about 1/4 inch off. Now, I did speak to somebody a while ago, and they asked how you would take 1/4 inch off there. And my answer was flip it over and take it off the straight edge. So I'll just do the other one while I'm here. Again, flip it over and take it off your straight edge. So that will just slide into there, and you just have your little tab at the side to pull it out. So I'm going to stick another square one in there. And then this one I'll pop in there. And if you keep it straight, it goes straight in. Now, I will do the other 2 tabs on the others, and I'll put those on as photo mats. Now, you can see from here, it's quite a nice scene, but I'm thinking it might, can't pick these up, it might need a boat down here, perhaps just sailing off the edge of the page. We could put, again, we could put the flags up there, but I would 3D them up, which is quite easy to do. Now I have a large and a small boat, so I might use that boat there. Maybe a smaller one, that's a bit big there, but we'll use the boat there in the sea at the bottom. And I'm going to pop that up there. And then with the flowers up here, I'm going to 3D these up in this corner. So let's have a look. Just keep that there. I'm just going to ink the edges, and then with the piece of grey board, I'm just gonna cut it. I tend to do it by eye, I don't do any measuring for things like this. Let's have a quick catch up. Yeah, it's Lorraine, I hate photo mats as well, but if you've got them all done, it just looks nicer when you put your photos in. I have done it where I thought I can't be bothered with photo mats, I'll just stick the photos in, and then I've gone back and put the photos on photo mats because it just looked better. There are some occasions where you don't have to, so you know, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So that is going to go about there. Now with these flowers, and you do get quite a lot of these. Oops. I'm just going to ink the edges again. And then what I tend to do is get one of the larger ball tools, which is quite big, and then if you just turn them over in your hand and very gently just rub it in circles in the middle, and then just go out to the edges. Make sure you've not dropped an ink pad on your hand either, otherwise it ends up being dirty. So from there you can then get your piece of chipboard, your glue on the back, use a slightly smaller one. So again, just pop it face side down, use the bigger ball tool and just gently go round in circles and then all the way round. Yeah, if you're doing tab pulls on the edge of your photo mats, it's very easy to get carried away and cut the tab off, which to be fair is why I leave them longer to start with, because if you do that you can just punch another one and then trim it to size afterwards. Yeah, I'm not on my own doing that. Oh, never thought about doing them all at the end, Vicky. Ruler and knife. I don't quite think that's a great idea at the minute. Certainly not for me. We Are Tab Punch Board. You can buy the tab punch board, but what I found is this board was originally for making envelopes. So that's the bit that we cut out. So if you put it in straight, it will cut that out. But like I say, you can make your tab punches with it by putting it in and cutting one corner, moving it up and cutting the other, and then just trimming the rest off. You can make crackers with it. You can make little faux mason jars with it, where that hole will just go in where your the edge of the jar. There's an awful lot of things you can make with it rather than just an envelope punch. I think it's been rebranded as a 3-in-1 punch now, but I'll be honest, I haven't. I'm trying not to look at tools because I think, like most of us, I've got quite a few. Must have tools that we never use. Yeah. That's interesting, Lorraine. Having them already behind index, that's really sensible. Not sure why I've never thought of doing that. So I want this, I'm going to say Lily because I'm not very, I'm not a botanist. I want that at the bottom. So I'm going to put these at the top first. So blob of glue on there and just pop that in the corner and just hold it in place for a couple of seconds, just until the glue holds. Then the next one, I'm going to pop that one there. And if you just hold it until the glue grabs, if that's the right word. Again, glue on the back. I'm going to put that one over there. And then this one, I'm just gonna, with my fingers, very gently, just curl these over a little bit. They are quite delicate, so just be careful you don't rip them all off. And I'm going to pop that one there. Now, as you can see here, you've got part of this flower coming down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my smaller scissors, then I can see what I'm doing, is just trim off around the lemon and then around the white flower. Very technical, as you can tell. Back round the white flower, up to there, around the leaf. I would normally take a little bit longer, and just very gently take a smidge off that side because we don't want to chop the flower off. and then round there, and then I'm just going to take some more off that side. I'm going to ink up those edges, and then just layer that up. Oops, bobs of glue on the back. I'm going to make sure it's stuck on one side, and then again just gently tease it into place, encourage it into place, or just make sure it does what you want it to do. Blob of glue on the back again, and then I'm just going to do it over that lemon, and it'll actually cover up the others. You've still got your flowers underneath, but you've got your additional flowers there. I decided I'm going to go a bit further now. I'm going to chop them petals off because I will lose them. And I could fit that back underneath, but at a lower point, and just leave it ever so slightly hanging off the edge of the papers, just to give it a little bit more of the added dimension. So I'm just going to slide that underneath, and that's there. So it's just poking out ever so slightly on there, just to do that. Now my boat's swum off, so I'm going to stick the boat down in the water. I might 3D that as well. So if you're anything like me, you'll find these little tiny bits of grey board all over your desk when you've finished. I'm going to put that bit on there. And then that bit on the sail. And then I'm going to do, again, a bit more glue on the back. And we're going to have the boat down here. I might move it across to hide that seagull, half a seagull. Okay, so my flags have flown away. Let's have a quick read. That's a great idea, that, Lorraine, that you do your photo mats. For, I do tend to use offcuts of cards from pages and everything else. But yeah, I get to the stage where I've had enough of photo mats and I don't want to do any more. And especially if I'm giving the book as a present. I did one for my friend the other week for her daughter, ran the Manchester 10K at weekend for Christie's. Yeah, so 10 o'clock at night cutting out photo mats was not a great idea, but it needed doing. So, oh hi Lynn. Don't worry about it, it's just old age and arthritis that's playing up. Yeah, I have I'm not as posh as a pencil case. I just have a little bag. It was a grippy bag, but the grip doesn't work anymore with all my offcuts of grey boarding. So now, unfortunately, none of the floral bits are the same as that. But what I'm going to do, rather than use that one, I'm going to 3D one of these up and pop it. No, I don't like that one. I don't know, I was thinking of putting them on there. I might just use a smaller one. Pop it on there with the flowers and 3D that up. Or I might not, I can't. I'll decide again in a bit. And that one might be better, it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, I'll put that one on. If you're anything like me, this part of, I want to say making your book, this part of finishing it off can sometimes take the longest time, because there's so many different, should I put this here, should I put this there, what should I do with this, that you can spend an awful lot of time on it. I try to just see if it works and put it down, and if it doesn't work, move on fairly quickly. Yeah, it doesn't always work, but just go with whatever works for you and what you like, because at the end of the day, they're your books, and if you like it, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about it. You've put the time and effort into making it, and we all know that making a book is not a quick 5-minute job. So there you go. I would go through now, and with the bits that I've got left, I might put one of the olive pots. I will go through with all the little bits that are left and decide where I want the other die cuts to be. Now, there are some that will shout out, I need to go on here, or I need to be a focal point. But then, like this, there are others that don't. So you can just go through. I'm going to put one there as well. Something that a friend said to me once was, why do you keep the odd bits of die cuts? Because unless you make exactly the same book again in exactly the same papers, they're going to be no use to you. So just use your die cuts. Because you're not going to use, there's no point saving them for best. And just go through your book and pop them on. Now also with this kit was a bag of, they're called paper elements. But what I like about these, I'm just going to move all these out of the way. Is that these paper elements actually make envelopes. Now I tend to use them up against the ruler just to make sure that I've got a straight edge. So you can use your ball tool and just gently run along and fold it up. Again, just pop your ball tool there, run along there. And once you've done this, you can fold them in. And then when you've got to that stage, you can decide, do you want your envelope to be that way? Or would you prefer the other side? And depending on what page I'm going to put it on, for this one, I'm going to use this way. So pop your glue on the shorter edge of your envelopes, and then just fold it up and just hold that in place for a second or two, and then just fold that over. So you've then got a pocket that you can either put on one of your pages, or they come with, oops, I should say the kit comes with tags. So you've got 4 tags there. I would just punch a hole out the top of them, or they have little ticket shaped tags. It's a big tag, that's a ticket tag. There's also small tags, so you could put that in there. I would possibly put maybe one of the circles, or even just a small, I think if you cut it at just under 3x4, you would get a 3x4 photograph in there, certainly in that one. You've got lots of circle, they look like drinks coasters to me, circle embellishments, both scalloped and non-scalloped, in 2 different sizes. There. So you can use them. Again, teeny tiny tag and other ticket tags. And then you've got, I think they're all pretty much the same size, quite plain on the back. You can use the C, I think it's called staccato on the walls, or the mosaic pattern. But you've got another 4 of those, and then you've got a smaller envelope which is wood on one side and brick on the other. So you don't have to use a ball tool to do this. I just find it gives a really nice edge to fold on, and it doesn't crack your paper as much. So if we fold that one over and that up, you've also, from your die cut elements, you've got a little picture frame of a pot of flowers that you could pop in there, or you could pop your, if you have that as an envelope, you could have your small jar, the vertically challenged jar, as I think Jen called it, or you could just pop on a seashell or a lemon or a flower. But I could be on here till midnight faffing with, do I put this there, or could put a lemon on the top of the envelope as well. So there's lots of different combinations you can do with them. With the tags, I quite like if you put a small hole through with either a big bite or a crocodile or a hole punch, and just tuck some ribbon in it. That'll make that, and then you can just use the ribbon to pull them out of the pockets. Okay, so now I think Facebook has perhaps settled down. I was talking to somebody at weekend, and I have, I think, gone through all the kits that Cal had left before she sadly passed us from us. So what I was thinking was, would people prefer if they just went in the shop and they all went live at the same time and you go in and order whatever kit you want? Or would you prefer to do it whereby I do a live and show you what kit it is, and what papers they are? And if that's the case, would a Sunday evening be better? Would it be better next Monday, with it being bank holiday? if anyone's got any feedback, if you let me know. If anybody's still stuck with me, or if you've all fallen asleep and gone away, or Facebook kicked you all out. Just let me know what people think is the best. Would you prefer to have it all in the shop and you go in and take what you want, order what you want, or would you prefer to actually see the papers and perhaps look at the books that those kits make? I'll put a poll up in the group later. It will probably be this Sunday or Monday. So I'll put a poll up in the group. If you just bob on and let me know which you think. It's very difficult with people being all over the show and with it being yeah, people would like to see the papers. I totally get that. I've had the opposite, where I've had the papers and had to sit and think, what book's that from? Go live at the same time, but maybe a list of what is available so can look beforehand. Yeah. I could do it on a Wednesday, Kate. So rather than starting the new book next week, whoops, which is the small paper bag book, which is this one. If you wanted, I could do, have I got that in the right place? I could do a live next Wednesday and go through the kits and show you. This is the book that will be, I was going to start next Wednesday. I'll do that next Wednesday then, and go through what kits there are. Now some of the kits had different paper choices, so I'll go through those as well. And just because the kits were made up into a specific, so I'll go through those as well. Just because some of the papers were made up into a specific kit, as long as you've got the papers, you don't have to use it for that particular kit, for that particular book. You could just use it and do, you could go off piste and do a book out of your own head. Although if you've seen mine, you don't really want to know what's going on in my head. So yeah, what I might do then is, if I go live next Wednesday with the kits, would people prefer to be able to say yes to the kits then, and then if there's any left over, put them in the shop the day after, or just say I'll go do the lives on Wednesday and then put them so they all go live in the shop on Thursday? I'm trying to see what time would be the best for everybody. If I do it, say 5 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's perhaps easier for more people. Let me know what you think. And I will see you all next week with lots of goodies, and there will be 100% chance of crafty shopping next week. Better than the 100% chance of rain that we've been told is coming. So we'll go with 100% chance of crafty shopping. Yeah, I agree, Lorraine and Kate. Right, have a wonderful bank holiday weekend, everyone. Hope it's not too wet where you are. and I'll see you all. Nicole, please can we also about the tutorial? So if they are, or if they were online retreats, Mark has got some of the online tutorials, plus we get paid on Thursday. There's always a reason for it, Kate. Yeah, I have spoken to Mark and some of the tutorials will be available from him. I will speak to him and get the up-to-date information for you all before next week. Okay, so take care, have a fab bank holiday weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye.